So last time we have seen about the classifications of wheat, means how wheats are classified into different groups. Here next today we shall see the next bit is the methods of wheat control, means principles of wheat control method. In this bit or in this topic, you know about the principles of wheat control, in which number one is wheat can be properly controlled if one know how they spread. This is the important character, means weeds are generally spread by a specific method, specific ways. So this is the number one. Number two is weeds grow faster. Here weeds grow faster than a flower also earlier and propagate at a faster rate. Means they vegetatively propagate at the faster rate. This is the second point. Third point, so it is difficult to eradicate them completely. Means farmer cannot complete eradicate from the field completely. Why? Because of the abolition. That is, the spreading is important. Then their flowering as well as the propagation is faster, due to which they can't eradicate completely by simple method. Then fourth important point is to control weed at a reasonable cost. Careful study is necessary. Careful study is important for eradication of the weed, and different weed have different habits. That's why its study is necessary. Means study is carefully necessary to eradicate them, because they have different weeds have the different habits. Then silent features regarding these principles of weed control, means silent examples of the above features are generally given below. To sort out weak point before weed control methods are number one is habit of the weed plant. And number one is habit of the weed plant. This is the first principle, means habit. A xerophytic weed thriving under dry or arid condition, means they generally grow in a dry as well as the arid condition. But if the farmers have flooded the soil with water, automatically the xerophytic weed damaged as well as they dry. Means eradication is carried out by the flooded with water. Then second is the life cycle of weed. Second is the life cycle of weed. Any plant or any crop plant or wheat plant, they have different life cycles. So here the second is the life cycle of weed. Life cycle of the weeds. This is the second important principle. So this destruction of weed before flowering and prevention of seed formation can control annual weed. Means when we disturb the life cycle of the weed, it may be the annual weed, it may biannual, or it may the perennial. Means annual, then second is biannual, and third is perennial. Perennial means these three types of the life cycles are seen in case of the wheat, and they show different life cycles. Means Annual also show different life cycle. Biennial also show different life cycle, as well as the perennial also show different life cycle. Then next is third is the susceptibilities. Third, susceptibilities. Susceptibilities. Susceptibilities means some weeds are susceptible to certain chemicals. Certain weeds are susceptible for certain weeds. Certain weeds, for example, means common example is 2,4-D. 2,4-D is a weedicide. 2,4-D is a weedicide, and it is susceptible for the dicot plant. Means the dicot plants, they are destroyed by this 2,4-D type of the weedicide, which is a chemical, and these controls the dicot weed which is present in the monocot crop. Means in case of the wheat, in wheat, suppose the dicot weeds are there, and if we spray the chemical or weedicide chemical like 2,4-D, then the dicot weeds are generally controlled by this method. Then next is about the dormancy period. Fourth is dormancy. Dormancy period. Some weeds have long dormancy period, means they should be controlled taking this factor into consideration. Dormancy period is some weeds show long dormancy period. That's why they can be controlled by taking this factor into consideration. Then fifth is the resistance to adverse conditions without losing viability. Means resistance to adverse condition without losing viability. Means some seeds have hard seed coat. Some seeds, they are mostly have the hard seed coat, and they do not lose viability. They can't lose the viability. In such cases, the step should be taken to uproot them before seed formation. Means some seeds they show the dormancy, and before the seed formation, generally these type of the plants which contain the tough seed coats or hard seed coat, they are controlled, or these are controlled by the eradication before the flowering. Then another is the second type is in vegetative propagated weeds. For example, it may be the rhizome type of the stem. Some show bulbs, they are present under the soil, and this rhizome as well as bulbs, they are plowed by the farmer, and generally they exposed to the heat of the sun, and generally these are also eradicated. Then another type is the dispersal of weed. Fifth is about the dispersal of weed. Dispersal. Dispersal of the weeds. Generally, weeds or the seeds of the weeds, these are dispersed by different methods. Means the dispersal can be controlled in a different ways if the way in which seeds disseminate and known and the countermeasures are generally undertaken, and countermeasures are generally taken. Means here the different methods they are used, different methods of the weed control they are generally taken into consideration, in which number one is mechanical or physical. Number one, mechanical, or we call it as a physical method of weed control. Then second is the cultural method. Cultural method of weed control. Then third important is the biological method. Biological method. And fourth is the chemical method. Chemical method of the weed control. Means these are the methods, weed control methods, they are grouped into four classes. Suppose these are the classes. Number one, mechanical. Second is the cultural. Then third is biological. And fourth is the chemical method. These are the classes of four classes of the weed control. Then we shall see one by one. Number one is physical or the mechanical method. Here in physical method, physical force, either manual, animal or mechanical power, is used to pull or kill the weed. Means here mostly animals or manual or mechanical power is used to pull or kill the weed. Then this is the method, or generally old method, mechanical, or we call it the physical method, in which number A is the hand weeding. Hand weeding. In hand weeding or in this mechanical method, or generally the pulling out of the weed. साधी सोपी आहे, pulling out of weed. Only you have to pull the weed and then you have to eradicate it by hand. Then by using small hand tool kit also they are used. आपण त्याला खुरपणी अशी म्हणतो, किंवा लहान लहान टूल वापरून सुद्धा आपण जनरली weeds can be eradicated. Then second जे आहे दुसरं, तर hand hoeing. Hand hoeing, HOEING. This is also the simple method of weed control. Here entire surface of the soil is dug shallow. Dug shallow. The entire surface of the soil is generally dug shallow and deep with the help of hand hoes. Hand HOES means with the help of hand hose, generally the soil is dug shallow. And next is the C is plowing. General plowing is also carried out by this method, or with the help of animals. Generally plowing is carried out, means plowing with inversion plow make the weed uprooted and exposed to the sun, uprooted and exposed to sun heat, and due to it generally the weeds they are generally killed, or weeds are to be eradicated. Then next is digging, DIGGING. This is also one of the technique, means up to deeper layer, so to remove underground storage organ. Underground storage organ. Most of the weeds they are vegetatively propagated, and vegetatively propagated weeds are difficult to eradicate. So, for that, generally digging is carried out, and by this digging, deeper layer, underground storage organs they are generally removed, and due to which generally the eradication is carried out. Next is moving and cutting, D. Then E is moving and cutting. Next, moving, and cutting. In case of the grass or lawns, generally the cutting is carried out by the blade. We call it as these are mostly lawns are non-cropped lawns. Means lawn is not a crop, and generally these are cutting is carried out by the machines also. We call it as a moving as well as a cutting technique. Then trees and bushes. Trees and bushes. Trees as well as bushes, they are cut by axes. AXES, axes, and saws. These are generally removed, or cutting is carried out. Means trees are actually cut by the axis, and the saws means curvet. It is also used to cut the bushes type of the tree. And then next is the uh, next is burning and flaming. F is about burning, and flaming. FLAMERNG. Mostly some weeds they are burned. For example, in forest, generally it is the cheapest method of eliminating the mature unwanted vegetation from uncropped areas. Means here mostly in case of the forest, or where the uncropped area is there, generally this technique burning as well as flaming is carried out. This is also a technique to control the weeds by this method. Yes, it is a simple method, but this method is used in uncropped areas. Then next is mulches. Nowadays this technique is used in case of the vegetables as well as the fruit crops, means mulches. And when we mulch the soil or the soil surface, automatically what happens, this mulching when applied on the soil surface, it do not allow weed to germinate. It do not allow weeds to germinate. and due to which automatically the weeds are to be controlled, or they do not grow, not reach above the soil surface because of the mulching paper. Means mulching is actually a plastic paper in due to which generally the surface of the soil is generally covered with this plastic paper. We call it as a mulching. Uh, then next is the intercultivation. Next, intercultivation. Due to intercultivation, generally weeds are also controlled. Means it is effective and cheaper method of weed control in case of the sown crop. Means here the crops are sown in line, and generally implement have mostly blades are there, due to which the weeds, these are the cut, or the roots of the weeds, they are generally cut by this technique. Means inter cultivation method, generally uh, uh, crops, they are mostly sown in the line, and these weeds which are present in between the lines, they are controlled by the method we call it as a intercultivation technique. And nextly, means lastly, you have to see the chemical weed control method. Chemical weed control method. Chemical weed control method, and generally here mostly 2,4-D is a weedicide. It is a weedicide is there, and this weedicide control the weed. Means chemicals are used to kill weed. Chemicals which are used to kill weeds are called as, we call it as a weedicide, or we call it as a weeds are called as the herbicides. Means 2,4-D is also herbicide. Simple, generally used. It kill, means it kills or inhibit. थांबवते. Kills मारने, inhibit, it controls the weed growth. So means chemicals which are used to kill or inhibit the growth of the weed are known as the herbicides. And 2,4-D is a common example. You have to see one by one different types of the herbicides which are used in controlling the weed. Means it is a chemical method to control the chemical weed control method, mostly used by the farmer nowadays, because it is a simple method of weed control by the herbicides. So this is in short about the weed control that we have seen today. Remaining part of this topic we shall see tomorrow or in next lecture.